Hello, it is Monday, and I am in my craft room, my yarn room, where I've got all my yarn lined up in front of me, and there's so many colors that make me so happy, and I wish I could have the time to just use each one of them. I don't know if you guys are like that. If you ever look at your yarn stash and think, I just want the perfect project for all of them right now. That happens to me all the time. But welcome to Yarn Cafe Creations. I guess this is my third episode already. And another gloomy day in Payson, Utah here. It's raining outside, which I love. I don't know if anybody else is like that. I love stormy weather. I prefer cold over really hot weather. And yesterday and today has been really gloomy and rainy and thunder and lightning. And it really puts me in the mood to settle down, settle in, grab my knitting and just get under a covers, get under a blanket and put on a movie and knit, of course. So I hope you guys are doing well. It has been, a little over 2 weeks since I last podcast. And I swear every time I come back, it's like a whole lifetime has passed. There's been, there's so many things that have happened in our country and our world. I can't keep track of it, you know. Can you hear the thunder? Oh, and it is cold. It snowed in the mountains last night, but we're in Utah. That's what happens here in the mountains. The date today is June 8th, and I wanted to check in with you guys. I was going to podcast yesterday. I have no idea where I'm at on these socks. I was going to podcast actually Saturday, and then there was just so much going on in the world that I decided to wait till Sunday, and then I didn't do it Sunday either. I decided that I was feeling a lot of anxiety because of all the protesting going on around the country and the rioting, and it's been a roller coaster, I think, for many of us. I'm sure many of you too. I don't live in any of those states that have had really bad rioting. I live in Utah, and we did have some protests on Saturday, or I guess it's been the first day. Gosh, it's been like a week ago, 9 days ago. And there wasn't really any problems that happened there that I know of. But I've been thinking, it just wrenches on my heart when I see the things happening around the country and know that some of you live in those states, and that is just heartbreaking to me. So I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope that nobody's been hurt, and I hope all your loved ones are safe. But I do want to take a second and say that what happened to George Floyd, I saw the video, and that was really hard to watch, and it was wrong. It was very wrong, and I was very emotional over it. Excuse me, I have asthma, and I'm struggling today a little bit. I wish I hadn't seen that. Well, I wish it hadn't happened, I guess is more accurate. I think it really affected so many people, clearly, with all the protesting happening. And I think that it's obviously been taken too far, the riots, and I don't think there are some people that are rioting that I don't think are doing it in memory of George Floyd, and that upsets me. I've seen many people's livelihoods destroyed. There's been many deaths over the last week and a half during these riots, and yeah, it's been a lot. There's been a lot going on, and you know, it's it's hard to put into words all of the emotions that I think that many of us have felt over the last couple of weeks. And I think that there's been a movement to really create change in our country and around the world. And I think that's always good. I think there are reforms that need to happen. I'm not sure I'm on board with defunding the police, though. I went on a journey a couple of years ago, about a year and a half ago, when our community started really pointing out the issues in the community with racism and inclusivity. And I decided to really dig in and look at the different sides. Because I firmly believe that if you really are going to have an objective opinion about something, you really do need to look at all sides. You have to be willing to step into areas that maybe are uncomfortable, maybe you disagree with, that you don't want to look at, or things you don't want to hear, and you have to hear them. So I did that. I think some of you I've told about that. I've read books and I've listened to podcasts with people that both agree and disagree with different ideologies. Just kind of thinking, there's always things I can learn. I'm not married to any of my views so much so that I can't hear an opposing view and possibly learn from it. So I did that about a year and a half ago. I learned so much. I learned so much. I think the biggest thing, though, that I took away from, I'm still learning, I'm still reading, and I pay close attention to politics and the things going on around the country. And I read both sides. Like I said, I still listen to podcasts on both sides because I do want to know what people are saying. And I will say, I have learned, like I said last time, the media, I think, is the worst place to get information these days. That's upsetting, because I think the media's mission or what they used to be known for, maybe not, maybe I'm just delusional, was to bring the news unbiased. That's not happening. That doesn't happen. That does not happen. So you have to take everything you see on the news. At least I do. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I take everything that I learn on the news with a grain of salt, and I usually verify. If they're playing clips and pointing things out about people, I'll try to find that clip and watch the whole thing, just so I can gain my own perspective. And usually I have to say, it doesn't matter if it's what kind of outlet it's coming from. It's usually skewed a little bit, sometimes a lot, sometimes so much that I've seen news outlets have to make apologies online. And that shouldn't be happening. So, because I'm just a citizen, if I can take a minute and verify what they're saying, they should be able to do that, right? Don't you think? It makes me not trust them even more. But I learned in my travels and my journeys that I think most people in this country and in this world are good people with good intention. Anyway, I'm going to continue just supporting the community, supporting the people because they're people and they're good people, and staying away from people who aren't good people. I think that's how I've always lived my life, and I hope that's how everybody, is living their lives. I just worry that sometimes our good intentions may trip us up and lead us to places of hurting people. And again, using shame tactics and trying to ruin people's lives in the name of everybody being created equal has been very, very hard to see. And I just want to let you all know that I'm not going to participate in that. I'm not going to use shame tactics. I'm not going to try to destroy people's businesses. I think forgiveness is something that's being left out of this whole equation in our community. And I really, really want people I want to be more forgiving. I want to be able to forgive people. I want to be able to grow and learn with people. I want to stand beside everybody, not in front of or not, in the back of them. So that's where I am at right now with all of this. I hope that makes sense to you. It was all in my head I had it all prepared to say eloquently, but that never happens, does it? So I just want you all to know that I just support people. I want everyone to grow. I want everyone to learn. I've been angry. I've been sad. I've been excited about things this last couple weeks. I think we all probably have gone through emotions. And if anybody, I'm open to having conversations with people. So if you have something that you'd like to, converse about, you feel free to email me, yarncafecreations.com. I'd be happy to talk to people about it. But if you're going to email me and just tell me that I'm a racist because I love people, you don't have to. Don't bother. I probably won't respond to that. So anyway, on to knitting stuff. I hope you guys are hanging in there. I hope you guys are doing a lot of knitting. I've actually done a lot of knitting the last couple weeks. I think it's that anxiety, right? We pick up our knitting. I do. I pick up my knitting when I'm anxious. It's so comforting. It's super comforting to me. And so I will start with what I'm wearing because I'm super excited about this. I finally finished my Gin and Juice sweater by Thea Coleman. Look at this band. I folded it over a little because it's kind of tall. But this band was put on after you complete the sweater right here. Let me stand up and show you. I made this a little shorter than the pattern called for because I am short. So this is the front. Gosh, I have my camera set up to where it's higher this time. This is the length of it. And I don't know. I wish I had put a button on it because it's an open sweater. I could use my shawl pin, I think. That would look good. And I made the sleeves a little different, but look at the cable detail. It's just gorgeous. And again, this is my non-superwash wool. It's so soft and warm. I love it. And I finished the sleeves yesterday. I blocked this last night and it was dry already. But this sleeve looks nothing like the sleeve on the pattern, okay? What I did, I decided, the sleeve on the pattern is pretty much reverse stockinette down to the the sleeve, the end. What am I trying to say? Yeah, till the end, and I think it's a ribbed cuff. But I thought, I want to add a little more texture. I want to make, the sleeve a little more fancy. So what I did is I took the cable pattern and I just did two repeats of the cable across and down, all the way down. And then I did reverse stockinette here. And then on the ribbing, I did broken seed stitch, just like is right here on this band that goes up, just to give it a little bit of flavor. And I really love how it turned out. I mean, it's gorgeous. This ribbed band that goes all the way around was added. You block this part of the sweater, and you block that before you put this on. I think you block it before you finish this band. But I've blocked it 3 times because I wanted to block it the first time when they tell you to, and then I put this collar on, and I think one sleeve, and I blocked it because I wanted to see if I had gotten the sleeve length correct, see if it would work, because it's snug fitting on me. I made it to where it would fit snug because that's just how I like my sweaters to fit. Look how gorgeous that looks. Oh, it's so pretty. There might be a mistake on one of these, so we don't want to look too closely, but whatever. But that's Gin and Juice, and it's in my oatmeal colorway, which is a new color. I did rotate skeins on the front. I did not rotate skeins on the band or on either of the sleeves. I just did as is, and so happy with the way it turned out. Now, because it's 100% 4-ply merino, it will probably do some pilling because that's the softer. of a yarn that you use, the more it pills, which is not bad. It's fine. You can just use one of those depillers. What are they called? It's not a razor. It's like a little shaver thing that you buy that is for that reason. But I loved the pattern. The sleeves were not fast because I had a cable running down them, so they took a little bit of time. But on a day like today, I mean, I got up this morning, I went and got it off the blocking mat, jumped in the shower, and decided I'm going to wear this today. And I've been wearing it all day, and it's so comfortable. But I highly recommend it. The pattern is actually for longer sweater, but I didn't want it super cropped, but I am short torso, and sometimes when they're too long, they just look too oversized on me. But I think a button would have been nice, or a couple of buttons going down would have been really cute. Yeah, no complaints at all about the sweater. It was so well written. The pattern was well written. I loved it. So, but I have to tell you, last time I was on here, I was telling you guys that I wanted to make Caitlin Hunter's new sweater. But I thought, no, I'll wait till I get this one done. I did not wait because I had to block this. Let's see, was it the first blocking? I think after I made one sleeve and I had it on the blocking mats, I'm like, what am I going to make? Like, I need to make something. So I went ahead and I started Caitlin Hunter's Jupiter sweater. Have any of you started that? It's a colorwork sweater. I showed you the colors last time and the yarn, and then I remembered that it was sport weight. So the yarn that I was going to use was my DK weight in non-superwash. I don't have non-superwash sport, but I did have some sport weight that I had not dyed yet. Just a few skeins, and so I made some for me, and here it is so far. It's some of my new colors on here. The blue base color is called Gentleman. This one is one that I haven't named yet. It's one that I haven't even released yet. So I'm gonna, did I mess up? There might be mistakes here and there. No, that's not a mistake. Don't panic. That was not a mistake. So this is Gentleman. I haven't named this one. This is Ballerina, which is in my shop now. But it came out a little more pink on this sport weight than it did on... This is a... Let's see. Is this... This might be 75/25 superwash merino nylon. And on the 100% stuff, it came out less pink, more mauve color. And then this one is a gray. A gray that I did not name yet. It's not my pepper gray. It's a different gray. And then this beautiful gold, which looks like the Dijon color I have in my shop, but it's not the same as the Dijon. It's actually more of a brown gold. Did I say gray? Brownish goldish. But yeah, I'm almost done with the color work part and almost ready to split for the sleeves. Look how cute that is. It's going to be so pretty. I think it's similar to the colors Caitlin chose. I think her main color was a little more gray. This is like a slate blue. And this color I love because this is like a tan with this pink and this gold speckles in it. It's so pretty. And here it is. And I don't know if it'll come out. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. What should I call this one? Because it's different than the Dijon. It's slightly more brown. And I guess it is kind of a gold. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I don't know. And then this is the Gentleman colorway. And it's got pops of like dark, like navy in it. And I don't have the other colors up here with me. But this has been a really quick, enjoyable knit. It's easy. If you're, well, I shouldn't say it's a beginner, because I know some of look at my floats, that could be worn inside out. Just saying. some of the color work has 3 colors on one line. Some projects you only are using 2 colors at a time. This one you use 3 colors at a time in some of the rows. Not very many, but it is tricky because I throw with one hand and throw with the other hand when I'm doing color work. So when you have that 3rd color that's in there, I'm like, okay, how am I going to do this? Because when you're doing color work, you want your floats to, you want your, so if you've got this color on the top and this color when you wrap the floats, if they're staying, I guess I can show you here. You want it to kind of, and I'm going to probably show you a place that I didn't do that. You want to make sure that like one color is going to be above the other all the way across. Otherwise you get them all twisted. And sometimes that's necessary if you're floating across along like a cavern. I call it the caverns, like if there's 10 stitches in between. And this one doesn't have that. And then, so if you have 3, you've got to decide which order. I'm trying to think, see if I have a row. I think there's 3 colors in this right here, this section. There's the blue, the gray, and the pink. Yeah, it's not hard. It slows you down a tiny bit. And then one complaint of color work, if you've never done color work, is sometimes I think you tend to do it too tight, overdoing it too loose. Most people that have issues with color work, it's usually because it's on the tight side. And I even do that. You can see the puckering. And I'll tell you, I've learned a couple of things about color work. Because I do everything the absolute hardest way possible. Why read about it and learn all the tips and tricks? Just figure it out. I mean, what's a few tears, right? So I learned that when you're working on a circular needle, if it's time to move up a size on circular, when your work starts to grow, you want to move up on your circulars sooner than later. I used to be like, oh, I don't need to do it yet. I've still, it's not, I can still knit. It's scrunched, but when it's scrunched, your floats are going to scrunch too, and it's harder to get them to be the correct space apart. So even if you're on a circular, you move up to the next size and it's a little too big for what your knitting will hold, what you can hold, do it anyway as long as you can get those stitches, because it's better to have those floats stretched a little than it is to have them scrunched, because that will pucker. But I mean, I have puckering on mine a little bit. And another trick is when you go to block it, a lot of this will block out. Blocking, I never used to block things. When I first started knitting and I couldn't understand, why do I need to block it? Especially like a hat or socks. Socks I still don't really block. But hats, what blocking does is it relaxes the wool. And because when you're knitting, because it's been washed, so it's not that it needs to be wet and bloomed or anything, but when you're knitting with it, you're getting it like this. You're getting it all scrunched up, and wool will relax. It will relax and spread itself out while it's wet. And so if you pin it while it's in that position, like it's in that position, if you pin it down while it's bloomed and stretched out like that, it will usually stay, and you can block out a lot of the puckers. So I'm planning on that. I plan on that. I have done one sweater though, I think it was my swan show, that I was so scared to knit tight that I knit it so loose that when I blocked it, it grew so much bigger. I mean, there was like holes in it because it was so loose. Another trick is, now on this, I wouldn't do it on this, because this whole sweater is color work. I think it might just be the yoke. But if it's a small part of it, like just a small yoke part, you can go up a needle size, like the actual needles, you can go up a size during the color work and then move back down to the normal size when you get to like the body, when there's no color work. And that will sometimes eliminate you having to worry too much about not knitting too tightly. If you're a tight knitter though, like if your yarn squeaks when you're knitting, you just practice not being so tense, or definitely go up a needle size. And you probably already know that. I don't need to tell you that. Nobody wants to be told what to do. Do whatever you want. You're the CEO of your life. Oh, by the way, these cute little needle tip holders are absolutely not needle tip holders. I got them from Sandy by the lakeside. Hi, Sandy. She's so sweet. I met her at Needles Up at Rhinebeck this last year. That was such an action-packed event, all of that whole Rhinebeck trip. These are needle tip covers. They're leather. She makes these. And she said, but some people put them on their needles. Oh my goodness. These are amazing. I thought, well, are they going to stay? They do. They do. They stay really, really well. Just as well as those purple nurples, the purple things that you stick on that are rubber. The other ones that are good are those foam rubber ones with a hole in it. They're like round. I have them somewhere close by. Those will go on. Those are good stoppers. And then who else had some? I think Signature Needles gave me some when I bought needles from them. I don't remember what they look like, but I did use those. So anyway, this is the Jupiter sweater, sport weight. By the way, I got some sport weight in, and I'm going to start dyeing on it, but it's going to be a process because I have so many yarn bases now, which I am so excited about. I love having a variety of bases in a variety of fibers and weights. And I'm going to show you a couple of the new ones that I'm building up my stock in. I don't want to just release, one color at a time. So I'm just trying to get in at least a few colors done, a few colors dyed up before I release some of these. But let me just show you. Okay, so those of you that have purchased my yarn before, I have one called Biscotti Sock. Biscotti Sock is 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon. It's a 4-ply fingering weight. I also have an 85-15 in a 2-ply. That's the Bonbon sock, and I love that one. And its gauge is a little bit different. It's got 390 yards per 100 grams versus the other one is 437 yards per 100 grams. So it's going to be a little bit different. But I got in a DK weight in the 85-15 4-ply. Look at this. It is so soft and squishy. I just really like it a lot. So it's 85-15. Right now I've only made, I think, 2 colors on it because I'm in the middle of advent calendars too. So I've been doing a lot of dyeing, just trying to build up a stock in some of these other bases. Because I won't be carrying the Cortado sock or Cortado DK anymore. That one it was a less expensive base. It's really good quality. It was 75% superwash wool, not merino, 25% nylon. I still have some in stock that's in the shop that's dyed, but I'm trying to expand out on my bases a little bit. And that one, it was less expensive. It's a more rustic wool. And I'm just trying to go by what my customers like. And a lot of people like the softer wools, which is great. So this one is the Biscotti DK, and it's going to be coming to the shop soon. And I dyed a bunch of colors on the same color on all these bases. This one is, it takes up the speckles so beautifully. Can you see that? And I've got my hair is on it. I think it was. This is the same color. This is actually, it looks like ballerina. It's not ballerina. This is actually a different color, a new color I was playing around with. Similar, but it has more pink speckles on it. This base is the Polworth. This is Polworth. I have that in fingering. It is a soft but more rustic wool, but it's not definitely not scratchy, but it doesn't pill as much. It's 100% 4-ply superwash Polworth. And this sheep, I mentioned on the last podcast, the sheep itself, it comes from a breed that is 75% Lincoln sheep, 25% merino sheep. So it creates this long staple, which the longer the staple on yarn, the less it pills. I don't have sheep. I'm trying to learn about this stuff. And this is a longer staple wool, so it doesn't pill. I made socks out of the fingering weight, and I love it. For socks too, socks, of course, is a hard wearing garment. And so having a wool that won't pill is I think is important. Some people don't care about that, and that's great too. I've seen people use 1-ply non-superwash fingering weight for socks because they wanted that softness factor and they were hand washing it. So I say go for it, do it. Let me grab really quick. Now this one is a fingering weight base that I'm going to see what the demand is. I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to carry this one. Again, this is that same color. I keep pulling fibers out of it, but thinking it's hair. It's not. It's how it's made. Now this one is 90%. It's a 1-ply fingering. It's 90% superwash merino, 10% linen. Now, some of the linen yarn out there doesn't have a high merino count in it, or if it's 100% linen, you can't dye it with the dyes we use for wool. You have to get a completely different type of dye. I didn't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. So this one, and it's amazing, only changing 10% of this to linen, it's amazing how different it can feel. So the 90% merino, you would think, oh, you probably won't even notice. It definitely has a different feel, but I also have a couple of skeins of linen I bought from my friend Leanne, who owns Forbidden Fiber, and I think it's like it might be a 60% linen. It's definitely a different feel. It feels more linen-y, like crunchy, but it softens up definitely when you wash it and when you knit with it. So I wonder what the demand will be for this as we go into summertime. So I'm going to order, I haven't ordered this yet. I'm going to order some of this 1-ply. I believe it's the 437 yards per 100 grams. If any of you know any patterns out there that call for a fingering weight wool linen blend, or a linen that is similar in gauge, the 437 per 100 grams, let me know, because I would love to maybe make a sample, especially if it's like a shawl that maybe only takes 1 or 2 skeins. One is better because I only have one right now, but I'm going to order some more. Okay, so that is that one. Oh my gosh, where's the other one at? I got to get the other one. I'm excited about this other one. And my reason is very selfish. And I can say that because I love knitting with mohair, right? Mohair it's one of those fibers that is more expensive, but it adds so much to your project. It adds warmth, it adds texture, it adds, just softness. It's so pretty. But I found a yarn base. I've already started knitting with it because I was blocking my sweater, okay? And I'm going to take this apart because it's not, I started writing a pattern for a hat and it's not exactly what I want. So gonna take it apart. Don't panic. I got a base that is 72% superwash merino. I think it's superwash. Yeah, superwash merino. And whatever's left over, 38% or 28%? 28% mohair in one yarn. And it feels different than when you hold merino and mohair double. First of all, it's a 1-ply yarn. It's 1-ply, super soft. It's really soft. I couldn't wait. I dyed this and I'm like, is it dry? Is it dry? I kept touching it, feeling it, because I wanted to skein it up. I wanted to, or cake it up so that I could knit with it, just so I could see what it felt like. But I'm going to take it apart, and I might make a shawl. Tristan, my daughter, has a pattern. It's free, called Changing Staircases shawl. She wrote, it was her first pattern. It was like 2.5 years ago, she wrote that. And it's a free pattern, and she has sold, or, downloaded. I guess people have downloaded. She hasn't sold any. Thousands of these patterns. So, and it's like, it's a one skein shawl. So if you're looking for a one skein, really easy, beginner friendly shawl, Tristan's Changing Staircases is perfect for that. But I had started making a cute little hat that was going to have baubles, but these baubles are like the most amazing baubles I've ever seen. They definitely stick out. And I thought, this is looking a little like a court jester hat. I don't think I want that, but look at the rest of the pattern. It was turning out really pretty. It was some slip stitching, some cables. By the way, I can't believe I didn't brag on this last time. This sweater, when Tristan and I went to Vogue Knitting Live in Las Vegas about 2 years ago, maybe longer, 2.5, 3 years ago, it was our first VKL, first Vogue Knitting Live. We went to a class with Michelle Wong, who makes a lot of very, very cabled garments, and she uses Brooklyn tweed all the time, and that's great. It's beautiful yarn. She does cables like this all the time, and I remember her saying that she doesn't use a cable needle. And I'm like, what? And I said, I even asked her, how do you do it then? What do you do? She's like, I just slip it off and let it dangle. I was like, I don't understand that. So I thought I figured out how to do it myself, because of course, why look it up when you can do it the hardest way possible, right? So that's what I did. I've been making cables without a cable needle now for a while, doing it my own way. And then when I was just starting this sweater a few weeks ago, and that actually I had started doing it, and I had started using a cable needle with it, just because of the cables, just the way it was going. And Andrea Mowry published a video of how to knit, or how to do cables without a cable needle. And so I watched it. Life-changing, you guys. Life-changing. I was able to whip through this whole sweater with no cable needle. Just no cable needle. I don't even remember why I was using a cable needle. And I said that I'm wondering if it was the needles I was using, if it wasn't. I was trying to do it the way I used to do it. Oh, I know what it was. My hands were killing me. I had been making advent calendar yarn for Tristan and my Harry Potter advent calendar coming up. That's a lot of dyeing, a lot of squeezing the yarn out, and even using the skein twister and twisting it up. My hands were so sore that the way I usually do my cables was causing my hands to really hurt. So I thought, well, I'll try a cable needle. And then I saw Andrea Mowry's way of doing it, and that solved all the problems in my life that day. So no cable needle. What was I saying? What was I even talking about? I don't remember before that. I was so excited to tell you how cool I was, because I can cable with no cable needle. So I'm going to take this apart and probably make a shawl or something just real easy and quick, just so I can showcase the yarn, because it's so beautiful. And I did get some of this in. I'm going to start dyeing on that. But if anybody knows any patterns, again, that would be pretty for a fingering weight, I guess it doesn't matter. You could, whatever you would use a fingering weight yarn for, you could use this for a sweater, hats, socks. I don't know. You could use socks, I guess. You could do what you want, because you are in charge of you. So just do what you want. I think it's awesome. But I do want to show you something I got this week that's not yarn, because I'm a copycatter big time. I copy people all the time when they buy stuff. And I was on Instagram, and I'm making Thea Coleman's sweater, and I follow her. Not like stalking, follow her, but a post popped up of hers. She had just bought some books, some knitting books. And I thought, well, I'm going to go on and see how much they are. So I went on and I bought, there's 4 of them. And I guess they are an older book that they don't make them anymore. I guess they're making them now just for a special run, and then they're not going to make them again. That's That could be totally wrong. I could be totally making that up. I don't remember exactly what I read. Something about that. But they're called knitting, a treasury of knitting patterns. And there's 4 of them. And this is book 1. And as I was going through, because I have a couple of knitting books, but they all seem to have the same stitch diagrams in them, the same stitch patterns. Now, the one thing I will say about these books is they are black and white. So my other ones have fancy colors in them. So these are black and white. And some of them, this one doesn't have like charts. Yeah, this one doesn't have charts for your cable patterns or your lace. So that's one downside about it, but I don't care. I just made my own chart of one thing I was working on. And this is the second one. And it's not like, I think there's one, though I'll tell you in a second. This is the second one. Look how thick that is. Super thick. So there are, I mean, anywhere from lace to cables to even mosaic. There's a lot of mosaic knitting in some of them. And this was an investment. They weren't like dirt cheap or anything. I think for all 4 of them, it was a little over $100. And I just bought all 4 because I didn't know how long they were going to be out. This third one, this one is charts. This one does have charts because it's called a Charted Knitting Designs, a third treasury of knitting patterns. So this one does have the charts that go with them in there. Oh my gosh, I haven't even looked through this one because the first one I looked through, I found something I wanted to make and I started making it. And then this 4th one of them has a ton of mosaic. I think it's this one. Yeah, this 4th one has a lot more fancy schmancy mosaic knitting in it. So that's what I got. I got those 4. And I've just been kind of flipping through them, looking for fun patterns that I don't know about. Because like I said, my books all have similar patterns in them. And so I'm excited to get going on that. Just learning new techniques, new patterns. Speaking of patterns, thanks for all the feedback, you guys. Thanks for all your comments about my sweater. Do you guys want to see it? I'm sure some of you have seen it because I was asked about it. Let me grab it. I'll show you. I'm not going to cut this out of the video. Okay. Again, it's a really fun, pretty design. But I'm still figuring it out. So this is the sweater. Can you tell I used 2 different dye lots? The sleeve is definitely lighter. So that's the sweater with these sleeves. And then I decided to make a second one with different sleeves. This one I really like. So this is in my grapefruit colorway. And then I made a different kind of sleeve. I made a bell sleeve for it. So I just have one more sleeve to make on this one and finish putting all the instructions in. There's some bobble details on the collar, on the neckline, and I think on the sleeve too. There's little bobbles on the sleeve too. What I would like to do is have options in the pattern so that if you don't want to make this bell sleeve, because I know the bell sleeve is either you like it or you don't. Some people it doesn't work for all body types, and that's fine too. But I thought, well, maybe I'll go ahead and just put the basic ribbed one in, which has a bobble design on it, and there's little bobbles on the end, which you don't have to do, but I liked it. I thought it was cute. In fact, I think it would be cute to put little pearls on it. I love beads. I don't use any of them. I should. But this is the Inspire Me sweater that I was talking about last week, and how I really love it. I wore it to Stitches, so some of you may have seen it at Stitches. And you guys, you gave me a lot to think about with the sizing, and I appreciate all the feedback. And I've talked to a few people behind the scenes about it. So I feel better about it. Look at this one. I haven't blocked this at all. But it is mohair. It's mohair and fingering weight. And it's a unique pattern. It's a little see-through in just the right areas. So that hopefully will be coming soon. I'm going to talk to hopefully a tech editor about it because I don't really want to tech edit it myself. But I would love to know what you guys think about it. And I would love your feedback on my other comments too. I think, just in closing today, oh, wait, I have one more thing I made. Something little. I made a koozie, a warmer, a coffee cup warmer, keeping it warm. I made this just out of DK. I am gonna write this up for a free pattern soon. Don't know what I'm gonna call it. To me, it looks like little ballerinas dancing across it. So I don't know. Anyway, that's coming. That's just a little slip-on cozy. But I do appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate your positive feedback and your support. And, trying to gather all of our thoughts right now, I think for everybody it's been a little tough. But I just want everyone to know that respect is so important, being respectful of each other. To me, I'm not telling you what to do. I just always want to be respectful to people's feelings, and I don't want to take for granted that I know how they feel. So I've done a lot of listening, a lot of lurking on social media, reading people's comments, seeing how people respond and react to each other. And my general feeling and observations were that, again, it's so hard to put into words, that people have good intentions. People want to do the right thing. They want people to feel loved and accepted. They don't want people to feel excluded. And again, these are not based on my observations. And I observed that when people are shamed for their actions, when their actions do come from a good place, they tend to withdraw and give up, not try anymore. And I don't think that's the direction we want to go. Bringing awareness to the cause is very important. But I hope you all understand what I'm saying and how much love I have for everybody in this community, and how much I want to create a safe, loving space for everybody. So I'm going to leave it at that and just let you all know how much I appreciate you being here. I would love your feedback. Again, I'd love to have conversations. I've had some awesome conversations this last couple of weeks with people. It's been so enlightening, so much fun. I love learning. But I'm going to try to be back here again in a couple weeks, maybe. Hopefully I'll have my Caitlin Hunter sweater complete. Maybe some other projects too. So thanks again. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye.